Hello, Factorio people. It's me, Fenton. Your boy. It's your boy. Um, Welcome back to Factorio OVEREXPLAINED. With a bit of luck, we might launch a rocket today. With a bit of luck. With a bit of luck. No major changes. One small change. For the coal liquefaction, this pump had a control behavior on it to only pump when the heavy oil was more than 5,000, and I put the crocodile's mouth the wrong way, so it was pumping all of the time, pumping on less than 5,000, not more than. So that was a mistake. That's it though. Everything else is as normal. The buffer for the stone was finished, so the stone just carries on going now. Right, we're going to do rocket control units today. And I'm going to bung that here, and so that the rocket silo can go here, because rocket control units and rocket fuel can just go straight in. And because this grid square is opposite the logistics hub, if I do need rocket fuel and rocket control units for anything, rocket fuel, no, rocket control units need to go in Spidertron. But then it's only 16 of them, so I can just put some in a logistics chest here, and the logistics box can cross the bus. Because, I mean, the only other option is that you put the rocket fuel on the bus and just bring it up here. That seems like a total waste. Right, let's go. Rocket control units are fairly simple, actually, truth be told. They need speed module Mark 1s to go in them. And then just processing units. So this takes 30 seconds to craft one speed module, and this takes 15 seconds to craft one speed module. So we can double this up. Most of my builds, I had noticed while I was thinking about how I was going to approach this episode, most of my builds have been direct insertion, like this. So because this one assembly machine can provide both, I would be tempted to do direct insertion like this, and then have like processing units come up on a separate belt like this. I'm going to do this one slightly differently this time, ever so slightly differently, and I'm just going to do 40. I'm going to do 40 rocket control unit machines that are just going to do this. And then I'm going to have the 20 speed module units here, and just output those onto a belt, just so it looks a bit visually different. Plus, I'm worried about it fitting in, but I think it will be fine. I don't know which way around these output belts are going to go yet, but let's do it like this just to be sure. Rocket control units, right? Let's also do undergrounds with substations now, seeing as we have more than enough resources to be doing that. We can also save some space like this. Substations are good like that. They've got quite a large reach across. So this is 6. Excuse me, copy. How far down can this? 12. That gets mostly all of. It gets everything, in fact. What did I say? 40. Oh dear. Maybe I should do 2 rows as well. Get this out of the way. Maybe I'll do 2 rows. Have this terminate there. Because it needs such a small amount of actual ingredients, because these take 30 seconds each. It needs such a small amount of ingredients that I could very easily loop this belt around. The input belt, loop this around here, and have this come this way. This might be the way to go. And then this substation won't quite hit everything, so it's going to make more sense to do that. But I'll put them on opposite sides at least for a bit of symmetry. How many is this? 24, is it? Put that one there. Obviously it's not quite right, but those substations reach perfectly, in fact. You'll be pleased to know, fact fans, that I bought the computer. After umming and ahhing about it, I took some money out of my life savings and bought the dang computer. 40 of these. Good. So then 20 to do the other one, and I'll tidy the belts up. Obviously, this is not going to make a huge amount of sense here, but interesting that this substation is connected here, but there's no wire here. I mean, it does reach. It's just deciding to do this. I don't understand the game's logic in terms of wires sometimes. Yes, I bought the dang computer. This computer's 3 years old. I can't upgrade to Windows 11 on this motherboard. Not that that's obviously a deal breaker, but you know. I just thought it was time, and what with, I daren't say the C word, but you know, what with that potentially being a thing again, I thought I'll be really annoyed if I try to buy it in 3 months' time and the entire global economy is shut down again. Ha ha ha, of course not. Right, so this is the build-ish, I suppose. We'll tidy it up a bit. This input needs to be... The question is this enough for half a shared belt of green and reds on their own? Yes, easily. Only 500 of each. That is easily enough. So we can have one input here. Spidertron finished. Hooray. Maybe I'll build a Spidertron instead of doing the rocket launch today. Everything else is in the mall except for... It needs a raw fish, because the law is that a fish pilots the Spidertron. And rocket launchers are the only other things not on the... not in the mall already, but rocket launchers are so cheap. I would just have to get some rocket control units. Oh, I'd need efficiency module Mark 3s to do this as well. Let me go and do that, just in case. Just in case. Let me go and start that. Because I have started... Oh, hello. Thanks. I have started a very, very simple production chain here for productivity modules 3. Because there is absolutely no reason to not have some of these ready before you put the rocket silo down. Because the rocket silo can take 4 of them. So that will increase your productivity on rocket parts by 40%. 40%, yeah. So for every 10, I mean, obviously I'll go into more detail on this, but basically when you're at this stage of the game, think about having some prod module 3s good to go, because that will save you a hell of a lot of resources down the line. 40% for every 10 rocket parts that you make, you're getting 4 for free, which is obviously an improvement of, you know, 10 rocket control unit, 100 rocket control units, you get 40 for free. It's huge. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. Borderline unbalanced. No, of course not. So green and reds can come in here, and then the output for the speed modules can go... See, this is kind of awkward because it's 3 belts that I somehow need to balance into one output sensibly. Unless I do this weird thing where all of this row goes here, half of this row goes left, half of it goes right, and all of this row goes here. Is that a recipe for disaster? Can't be, right? Can't be. This must work. If one side gets full, they all go the other way. And if one side's full, then it's fine. I guess the only issue is that it's loading the speed modules onto both sides of this belt. So I would then also have to side load it and get processors in, like, on this side. So it's ugly, for sure. Maybe this is more trouble than it's worth doing it this way around. Thinking. Having a big old think here. No, let's do it. Just trying to think if maybe there's a way around this. this ugliness here. That doesn't help at all, because these would be outputting on this side. So this would come around here anyway. So this side would, if anything, have to drop on the top. And then you're talking about using undergrounds, so you may as well just do this and save, whoops, save a few resources. This side could come underground and drop on the top here like this, but it's not quite as exciting, is it? And I suppose this side could be symmetrical so that the processing units can come out somewhere. I mean, I'm already going to have to use a lot of undergrounds for... this seems like a real pain in the neck. Maybe I do want these to go up then. The outputs, that is. Let's do it. Let's hack it together. The only problem with a design like this is it's not very well future-proofed. There's not really any space to be putting modules, to be putting beacons in. At least with this design, there's a nice 3x3 space here for some beacons, and there's plenty of space down the edges for beacons as well. So that would potentially work. This, there's just no room for any of it. It's kind of ugly. The more you look at it, the worse it gets. Does that flip that tunnel around? It does. That's quite clever, isn't it? Let's stick with it. Let's stick with it. It's all a learning experience. And then I suppose processing units could come up this way, go in here. And then maybe that means that this actually goes on the other side after all. So that then I split half here, underground them across. I'll make this underground as far as it can go, just because, and drop on. Ah, no. Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it? This will be fine, providing that I side load this belt originally for them to be, so the processing units are only coming in on this side anyway. So then they'll be here and here, and then the speed modules will be dropping onto this side, and it will all be fine. So I'll just have to remember that when I load the bus up. Other than that, that's it. Like, we may as well stop faffing around and get on with it. Except I will cut this and move it over slightly. Because, as I say, I want the silo to be in the middle. There we go. I went down here, didn't I, to set up speed module Mark 3s. Efficiency module Mark 3s, just in case we wanted to get Spidertron done. But I don't think we are going to get Spidertron done. I'd rather get the rocket launch sorted. And I think that's well within our grasp here, because I've only been recording for 10 minutes, by my clock anyway. Okay, so processing units need to be on the outside for sure. Here and here. And then this row needs to be... Why did I do that? Green circuits. And red circuits there, and then copy the bus just so that we retain our pattern of undergrounds, except these are going the wrong way. I've made that mistake 1,000 times. Copy the bus, try and at least copy the undergrounds that are going in the direction of travel. There's flipping roboports in the way, because of course it is. I wonder if I can get away with this. Can. Like this. I had a couple of builds before that did this, and they actually ended up going wrong because they can only ever take from this bit. This row is completely dead. Like nothing, you can never ever actually take from that. With this side loading method, let me come over here and show you in a bit more detail, because after all this is over-explained. In this method, anything coming along the bottom will come to the bottom here, and the reason that it mostly takes from the top is because this is obviously, if there's empty space on this belt, it will fill in this first, because it's closer to the direction of travel. When it's an underground, like this, whoops, no, like this, or the other way, depending on which way the belt's going. I'll show you like this, just to make it clear. This top bit actually never ever moves, ever, which means this lane never ever moves. Only this lane goes forwards, and then this lane drops onto the belt and moves down. So if you get a problem on the bus, or just you're using a balancer, or not using a very good balancer, or something, like anything can go wrong. I mean, this plastic is potentially a good example, where the top is not as full as the bottom, and you're relying on the underground to side load, then suddenly your throughput is not as good. Like if you were relying on this top half of the belt to go this way, and it can only use the top half of the belt because you're using the tunnel-based system, it's going to go wrong for you. I do need to balance this belt, because I don't think I balance it ever. I take off of this belt so many times, and I never actually rebalance it. So I should probably do that. Let me do it after... I mean, really, you should do it everywhere. Like, really. Just, you know... There's space to do it here, and it's after everything is... After stuff's going in for purple science, so that's probably a good place to do it. I mean, you can see the importance of it. You can already see the knock-on effect that's had. I'm going to be able to get a lot of easy wins as well with production by just changing stuff to Assembly Machine Mark IIIs. I'm reluctant to do it at the moment because I really want to see exactly what is short rather than just upgrading everything and hoping for the best. So after purple circuits, blue circuits, sorry, show my age there. After blue circuits, could do with the balance, but it's only going into the logistics mall anyway, so I'll balance it just... Yeah, I'll balance it just after logistics mall. Okay. Right. And then the processing units need to come up here, but this is right in the way of this, which is good. Good stuff. Wait, didn't I move it anyway? No, that is post-move. Okay, so it's going to have to go one further over. This is already the bus, so this can go there, there. Whoa, clicking! I can't remember if I brought this up last time. I feel like I did. That playing a lot of Halo Infinite at the moment, and can click headshots like there's no tomorrow. Can I click a simple belt down in the right place and in the right direction? No. No, I can't. Okay. Oh, I had to sideload it. It's fine. It's fine. The machines should take it all in before I... What's going on here? I didn't change this. I want this output to be actually going up ways now. Did that change that? It did. Yeah, these machines should all just take them before it becomes an issue. In theory. No, there was too many of them. Alright, I'm gonna have to tidy this up manually. It's not the best, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, and there'll be some stuff underground as well. So the game does obviously simulate what's happening under here, you just can't see it. So when you come and tidy up the belts like this, you do have to be aware of what is coming up underground as well. Alright, we're sorted now. We're sorted. Let me just put these processing units down in the for the most machines to get rid of them. It's interesting with the speed modules that they go as an ingredient, so sometimes you actually think you want to put them in there, but it just takes them as an ingredient and it prioritizes the ingredient over the actual module slots. So, you know. Okay, we got rocket control units, folks. And it's all fine. Net machines 0 per minute, 100. Speed modules 100, using 100. It's all good. It's all good. Right, so let's put the damn rocket silo down, shall we? Talk about that. There it is. It needs power. Unsurprisingly, it needs some power. I kind of like aesthetically surrounding it in substations, but actually that doesn't work because then at one point you want to surround it by beacons. So let me just put some beacons down just to simulate exactly where those are going to go. So my substations would be better off here. 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 Yeah, here and here. Right, good. This is the rocket silo. This is the only machine in the game that can make rocket parts. You can't make rocket parts by hand, you can't make them in an assembler. They don't even show up in FNEI, which is funny, despite them being an actual thing. They don't show up in your crafting inventory. They are purely this, but then they don't go anywhere. What you need to do is you need to fill the machine with rocket control units, low density structures and rocket fuel. For every 10 of these that you put in, you get 1 rocket part. Of course, we're going to fill this with productivity modules, so those numbers are a little bit different. Base, it uses 200 a minute. That would be a rocket silo going as fast as it could without any modules inserted, of course. It's very optimistic to get a rocket silo running full speed, and it's not something you should really aim for. Just get the rocket launched. You can win the game. We can win the game at this point by just inserting 1,000 of everything into here, and it will build it all and launch a rocket, and we'll be done. So this is tied up with an underground. It is. But what we want is we want space science. To get space science, you also have to input a satellite into the rocket as well, and that is mostly where the complication lies. Launching just the rocket, red circuits is definitely a problem, isn't it? Okay, I'll do it. I'll upgrade these to... I'm worried that if I upgrade these to green assembly machines, that's going to cause a really large problem somewhere else, and I don't think that these copper cable machines will keep up, but maybe they will. Maybe they will. It's fine. Right, we'll let that go. Okay, so let me put the prod modules in. Always. Don't try not to let a rocket silo run without them, in the same way that you try not to let your labs run without them. Where are my labs? Here they are. They're not doing anything. Let's just finish these. It's a quote-unquote waste of resources to research these high-level things, like 500 science packs of everything that we're not going to want, but we'll get everything researched. We'll get everything researched. Right. Rocket control units can come in somewhere. Let's get this all tidied up. Thinking. Having a think. I'll bring these in on the top. Do you and should you use a buffer for this? Now, Stack Inserter can obviously just input them straight away. 10 for the one you're making, and 20 in the backup. Obviously, the 10 would go away of each once they're all loaded in. Should you use a buffer? It's a good question. Like the other parts, the rocket fuel and the low density structures, these only stack to 10. So you could. It's fine. Someone pointed out this out in the comments of the last episode that the max rate calculator is using the numbers for inserters as if they were pulling from a chest anyway, because the numbers from when you're moving from a belt are slightly different depending on whether the belt's curved around and various stuff like that. I don't think it really matters beyond, especially at these low speeds, because let's not forget that by putting the productivity modules in, we're also lowering our crafting speed by quite a lot. So this is now only working. Yeah, it's only going to make 11.2. It's cheaper to make those 11.2. Obviously 11.2 would cost you 112 of each of these to make. So it's taking a lot longer to make the science, to launch the rocket, but we just want to get rockets launched at the moment. We want to start getting white science packs, space science packs. Rocket control units also would be nice to have a few in a logistics chest for the Spidertron, so I'm going to do that. Literally just 10 of them. Let me stop it while I put the cable down. Please only put things in here, not this one. Please only put things in here if there are less than 10 rocket control units in the logistics network already. This pointing towards this 10 is higher than this. Yes, okay, I'm just double checking that I actually know how to use those symbols. Alright, and this is just so that we can bring these over to the logistics hub to make Spidertrons at will at some point in the future. Okay, we already do that for rocket fuel anyway, so rocket fuel can now go across here and go somewhere. This is ugly, of course, like, don't at me, I know that it's not the best. You just, oh, I need to put more logistics ports down, don't I? Yeah, we'll do that on this side. I'm going to copy this chest, because copying it will automatically make this have its limit. We also need to make sure that we've got space for an output, and I'm going to talk about the space science output in a moment, because that is also something quite complicated that needs to be given its fair due. So, what is the issue here? I think we're vastly underscaled in terms of copper cable. We're 4 machines short on copper cable, 2 on each side. And that is severely affecting red circuits. It's not a terrible idea to have these done, because obviously you can consider researching anything to also just be QAing your base. If something stops, then you know that you're not doing science properly because your packs are not right. Let me see if I can just go and get an easy win over here by putting some speed modules into those copper cable machines. Or maybe a couple of speed and a couple of prod modules, because I've got vast amounts of productivity 1 modules, because you need them to make assembly machine Mark 3s, so they're in them all, they are made. I don't think I have anything else. Where does iron ore come from? Oh, probably the starter base that we destroyed. Remind me to show you what you can do with that iron ore later. At least it's going to be used for the concrete. Right, let me get some speed module 1s out of here. Yeah, that should be more than enough. And the rest of the prod modules. Okay. How's power doing, by the way? We're still using accumulators. Do you need red circuits to make solar panels or anything? No. Okay, that's fine. I'll put some solar panel instructions down as well in a minute if that's not going to kill our red circuits also. Assembly machine Mark 3s have 4 slots. So you can make some quite easy wins by putting 1 productivity module in, which increases your productivity by 10% on its own, but lowers the speed by 15%. But then by filling the empty spaces with this. Let's do 2 and 2 and see what that does. So 2 productivity module 3s will lower the speed by 30%, but then even just the 2 speed module 1s is bringing that crafting speed back up to plus 10 with 20% productivity. So this basic one here is taking 2.5 copper plates but outputting 5 copper wires, whereas this one is taking 2.75 and outputting 6.6. So if we do that for all 4 of them, you can copy and paste machines, and the modules are also part of that instruction. The fact that it put the speed modules in here first irritates me no end. How does that fare? Does that solve the problems? No, we're still half a machine down. I wonder if 3 speed and 1 prod would be better. See, this is now outputting a lot more, 7.9. But obviously we're losing the productivity it's still using. I shouldn't really be worried about this number of copper plates. Like, it really is not a worry for me, the amount of copper in the base. This should be a lot better. Yeah, just over. Just. And even this is barely using half a belt of copper, so that should improve red circuits a bit. You saw for a moment there those blue symbols. Let me do that again and just get my telestration out. This, nope. That symbol. This one. Oh, it's actually doing it normally because I haven't got any on me. This blue symbol means that there is a request for construction bots to deliver an item to this entity. So the entity itself is built, but it's waiting on 3 speed modules. And we do have speed modules in the logistics mold. Here they are. So here they come. You can clear this as well by just right mousing that blue triangle, and then that request goes away. Just, you know, if you want. What has that done? Let's have a quick look, shall we? Advanced circuits. We had a very large increase there. That will be when we changed them all to assembly machine Mark 3s, and the belts were full of copper wires and they could run properly for a bit. And this was the change we just made, from about 600 to 700 a minute. So it's not bad. Not bad. It is what it is. We'll have to fix that properly. Because I mean, this is causing quite a severe knock-on effect down here, which is causing which is going to make my rockets not work at all. And low density structures, we'll bring those in on the side. The whole thing is obviously considered to be a machine, so your inserters can, as long as your inserters are pointing at them, you're fine, it will count. Let me do my buffer here as well. Have you noticed that sometimes when you've got something in your cursor you can delete like that, you see? Sometimes, I think it's if you've got a blueprint. Yeah. That's really odd, isn't it? If I press Q on this, I've got one, and I can delete these belts. If I press copy on this, I can't remove the belt from underneath. I wonder why that is. I'm sure there is a case. We're still getting a lot of red circuits coming into the logistics hub as well, so maybe once that gets backed up that will also help slightly, although I doubt it, because look at this. It's flipping empty, man. What was I doing? Low density structures, that's right. In retrospect, building the rocket silo directly opposite the mall was a horrendous mistake, because all of my belts here are going, you know, look at this. This is a mess. And I'm now saying, oh, also split a whole bunch of stuff off this way. So that's good. It's fine. It is what it is. That's the phrase of the day, apparently, along with quick wins. Want to make a quick win? Well, it is what it is. 4, 4. Fine. This is going to be the ugliest rocket style I think I've ever done. Usually I bring everything in nice lines, like this. And then have 3 sets of green inserters here, like this. Inserting like that. But whatever. Alright, this is now beginning. This is now working. Obviously this is our regular bar, so for every 10 of everything that goes in, it starts building 1 rocket part. The underneath bar is our productivity. We've got a productivity bonus currently of 40%, because that is for Prod Module 3s. So there we go. So for every 1 time this fills up, this bar fills up 40%. And then once this bar gets to the top, we get a free rocket part. And we need 100 rocket parts. So it's literally every time this gets done, this bar goes up 1%. And the same with the purple bar gets to the top, this will go up 1% as well. So here we go. It's going to get up to 10. Now, right. What we also want is we also want to put a satellite into the rocket. That's slightly more complicated, because we need to build a satellite for a start. Satellites need... This is a good question. This is also why I feel like what I've done here is wrong. Where is the flipping satellite? I can never remember. It needs low density structures, rocket fuel, which are here anyway, so we can do that here, thusly. We need them on such low frequency that I'm not worried about this at all. I've lost it again. Where does it go and why is it on that tab? It's on production. So you could, in theory, use productivity module. No, on intermediate products. Oh, it's production. Yeah, no, that's my fault. Okay. It needs 100 low density structures, 50 rocket fuel, 100 processing units. Radar is the other thing. Now, I like to cheat a bit with the radar because building radars on site for the satellite is more trouble than it's worth. That also means you need to bring in iron and electric circuits. Why not just get your logistics robots to bring over... How many does it need? 5. To just bring over 10 radars at once. Just so that there's some buffer. Or just bring over a stack. 10's fine. I mean, if you wanted to put the radars in directly, you could do that. Like this. Well, not even like that, I suppose, like this. And have iron come in here and... You know, so this would have to be iron gear wheels, this would have to be the radars themselves. This belt would then have to be iron, shared iron and green circuits, and it's just going to make it look even more ugly. Just, you know, do what you want, of course, but radars, they're so cheap, they're so easy to make, they take half a second to make. I'm not worried about getting my logistics robots to do a little bit of work, considering how infrequently we're actually going to be launching a satellite here. This had like a massive buffer, didn't it? This is the other thing I'm going to talk about when I get there, is that you don't want to be overproducing satellites, because it takes a long time. Right, so then we also need the belt of accumulators and solar panels, which we have already sorted. If you remember, I built that... I actually built that off camera, just here. Ugh, in theory I should put it on the bus, because what's the point in having a bus if you're just going to then do it across here like this, but... the next empty space on the bus is here, because I'm going to have 2 lanes of plastic eventually, 2 lanes of red circuits. This lane is the next empty lane, and I just don't know if it's worth the hassle of having that much of a buffer, considering I've also got a buffer here. It's ugly. Sorry. Sorry. Can you tell I'm in a rush? That should also be this one, but that's fine. Because then this one needs to be processing units. I should have checked that there's space on the bus to do this operation before I actually do it. There is, thankfully. Get this through. Whoops. Hooray. Hooray. How are we doing here? 59%. Okay, you're done now. Yeah, alright, so it's just the processing units coming in. So then you output the satellite onto a belt. This will give me enough time to talk about this. And then you just put the satellite in the rocket silo, and then once if you've got this ticked, which obviously I won't tick now, so just in case we miss it, it will just go. Satellites take a lot of resources and you don't need them that often. So now that there's a satellite here ready to go, what we want to do is we want to stop this from overproducing. Now, we want to stop this whole belt being filled with satellites, because each satellite is actually a fair amount of resources tied up. So what we can do is we can attach the circuit network to the belt, and then start hooking things up to these inserters and giving these inserters instructions, especially on the expensive ingredients like the low density structures and the rocket fuel. And what we want to do is we want to... So all I've done here is you can hook the circuit network up to any belt. Like, I've never done that on this playthrough yet, but I have right now to show you. And once you've done that, you can do various things. You can read the belt contents either once or forever, and in this particular example we want to do it forever. And we want to send the signal of... no, enabled condition is fine. We don't want there to be an enabled condition. We always want this to be on. But we want the signal to be sent for what is currently on that section of the belt. So if we hover over this substation, we can see that there's currently 2 satellites on the belt. So now that we know that there is a satellite ready to go in the rocket silo, we can tell this to only work when the condition of the red wire that we have attached to the belt and then the inserters only start building the satellite, so only work if the number of satellites in that section of the belt, and again I need to find satellite, equals 0. So this won't work, and I'm going to control right click and control left click to give this exactly the same condition. If there are no satellites here, go ahead and build a satellite. I'm not too fussed about these because they're actually I should do the same for processing units because they are also expensive. And this does use 100 of them. Yes, I will do exactly the same rule for the processing units. Right click, left click. Because processing units are apparently a problem now as well. Wow, it's so dark in the map view. I put the I took 2 personal batteries out and put the perfect night glasses on from the Afraid of the Dark mod to hopefully... but when I go into map view, obviously the map view doesn't have that. So processing units are a problem because they're just a problem, apparently. They're just an issue, I just don't make enough of them. It's fine. These are all things that we can sort out. Okay. We're almost there, folks. We're actually going to do it. We're actually going to flip and do it. 98%, right. So once this hits 100%, then satellite becomes available to be entered into it, which is why there's no slot on the UI for it just yet, but this will work as soon as this is 100%. Here we go. This animation takes 40 odd seconds, which you do have to factor into your science per minute calculations, but we're nowhere near needing to worry about that yet. This is completely... this can't do anything while this is happening. Right, the satellite just went in. So as a small aside, that means that this signal is now 1, because the time it took me to explain that all, it made 2 satellites, but that's why this still isn't doing anything, because there is still a satellite here. You can just about see it. Alright. And then from now on, we're going to auto-launch with cargo. But for this one, I will press the button just so that it feels dramatic. It's loud, by the way. We did it! 52 hours, 53 minutes, and 56 seconds. It's a new speedrun record, everybody. It's a world record for the over-explained category, which I just invented. Hooray! That's technically the end of the game. If you wanted to call it quits there and just launch a rocket, you're fine. If you wanted to call it quits there, you don't have to even build a satellite. The reason you put the satellite in is because then you get an output of 1,000 white science, space science, which you can use to start doing these infinite researches here. Worker robot speed can go up indefinitely. Mining productivity is basically the one you want. The first one is 2,500, so you need to keep launching rockets, and as you can see, we're already well on our way to our next rocket. Let me just briefly talk about outputting the white science, because it is important. Rockets will keep launching. As long as you've got this auto-launch with cargo going, rockets will keep going. It doesn't care about this slot here. So you can actually waste rocket launches by not having room for the output. If this is still full and you launch another rocket, you spent it all, the rocket's gone up into space, you don't get the science for it. So it's extremely important that you don't launch the rocket without somewhere for the space science to go. And again, you can solve that by using a buffer here, and we'll do this so that yeah, we can just keep, we're going to need to move this science over to here and do some finagling to pull 4 lines of science into one lab, which can be done. Can it be done? How am I going to do this without belt braiding? And I've said the word belt braiding now, don't worry about it. Yes, it can be done, and I'll quickly show you that. I've just remembered how it's done. We'll just merge these together in a simple, well, if I'm going to do this, I may as well do it the same way I've been doing everything else. The way you do this is also with a signal. You tie the 2 chests together and then you attach that to the inserter, and you tell the inserter to not put a satellite in. Sorry, that's the wrong thing. You tell the inserter to not put a satellite in unless the space science is 0. And for this one you may as well do less than or equal to 0, just in case. So if there's space science in a buffer here, you don't need to launch a rocket, right? If the buffer of the space science is there, you don't need more space science, so don't put the inserter in. So currently this inserter is going to do nothing. As I move this belt up and across here towards the labs, that's science labs, not the dog Labradors. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. I'm not sure that's correct, so I'm just going to leave this just in case. As these chests empty, which they should do fairly soon, almost, we'll see the inserter have the green light on it here, this light here, to tell it that it will be able to work. And that's a little ways off yet, because we're still going on this one, because rocket control units are actually not... I mean, as I say, having it run 100% speed is really not viable at this point. Just having some science is great. Right, the way you can get 4 inserters of... is going to be... so like here, but this square needs to be the white science, so I just need to cut a little gap here with belts, and then do this like this. And then the same on this side. I'll put this... ugh, that was ugly. I'll put this here just for the sake of symmetry. It's weird. Oh, it's because it's like that, isn't it? Because the belt isn't there. Ah. That's really annoying. suppose if I do this like this, then it will work. Just for symmetry's sake. Yeah, so then these need to just go... Is that right? Why is that 3 and this one only 2? Oh, it's because I put that here like this. And then I can do that, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is how you can get 4 belts of input in only 3 spaces. I can just copy and paste this now. Except I didn't put the inserters down. It's there to there, and there to there. And I do need a space for this other one. Needs to go. I definitely could have done this more correctly the first time. No, don't do that. That's horrendous. Okay. So these are all full of white science now. So we can start the first mining productivity one. And we're off! We're in the end game, folks. We're in mega base territory now. That looks hideous. If this was an underground as well, then this could... No, it doesn't matter. I'll leave it as an underground anyway, just so... So, if you want to just stop at this point, you know, by all means. Oh, I control-clicked here and it replaced the Module 2s with Module 3s. I will want to do that eventually. But if you want to keep going, then these mining productivity ones get very expensive. You can see here level 1's 2,500, which is, you know, only 2 and a bit rockets. Then 5,000. We've got the research queue available now. Now that we've finished the game, we can actually queue a lot of things up. The next one is 7,500, and then 10 rockets, and then 12 rockets, 15 rockets, 17 rockets. These get quite expensive, but obviously they're very valuable. Makes your ore patches last a very long time. Let's just wait for the next rocket to go. Nah, it's going to take too long. So really, we just want to be up in resources, improving builds, starting to use beacons and modules to get productivity up, see where the problems lie. So like currently we can see the problems are batteries has become a problem again because we've used a lot filling up this belt, but it should balance out. It's already filling up, yeah. It's red circuits, and then by extension processing units are a problem. So we're going to definitely have to do something about reds. Even though I thought it would have been fine, but it's... Oh no, it's because green circuits are a problem. Oh my days, look at this. Green circuits are now not keeping up. And that's because copper is not keeping up. Excuse me? Having just said that I don't think copper would be a problem. So this is all coming from here. You're telling me this isn't 4 full belts anymore? No, it's only 3.5 full belts. It's only 3.5 belts, folks. Right, well, that's fine. I wanted to get rid of this anyway as soon as possible. I wanted to bring in another one like this. So that means that these are still full. These are still doing fine. In retrospect, I should have merged these into an 8 to 8 balancer and sent half of them off this way and half of them off this way, and that would have stopped these kinds of problems. Not stopped, but you know. Right, I really need to stop this video. It's already quite long, but it was the rocket launch episode, folks. I didn't think we'd get it done. Honestly, didn't think we'd get it done. Okay, the belt is empty of white science, so we can see this insert has gone green. This is still not building because obviously there is a satellite here. I did limit this chest, right? Yeah, good. I also shouldn't have this being pulled from a curved belt. That's a mistake. Alright, we'll wait for this one. I'll do my spiel, and we'll see it go automatically because it's got the auto launch with cargo. Once the rocket is primed, you'll see this inserter work, and then by extension these red inserters will start going again because there's no satellite here. Thank you so much for watching. not just this video, but the series. It's been really good. Thank you for all the support, everyone who commented and liked. It's been great. I am going to carry on because we didn't even touch nuclear power. It's very loud. We didn't even touch on nuclear power, which I thought I would have to do at some point, but I didn't. It's so loud. You know, module builds, beacon builds, you know, you can do crazy stuff with the modules where you have builds where your modules are just completely surrounding assemblers like this. And there's an assembler, whoops, and there's an assembler in the middle, and you need to think about all kinds of stuff where that is a thing. And that's interesting. Why are these not going? Oh no, what? Oh, there we go. I clicked, you need to unclick enable disable as well. I forgot about that. If you have enable disable on, then the belt is waiting for a rule to run the belt or not. Which is a problem. You can use that for various things. So like, if you are worried that not enough is going this way, for example, if this belt is empty, you could put a rule on this bit of the belt to say, I mean, you'd never ever do this, of course. No, I clicked undo and it doesn't undo those commands. Let's put this back. Obviously you would never ever do that because you would just do this as a priority. You would just say, go this way rather. Output this way first, please, more than anything else. But I'm not going to do that. So yes, you can also stop a belt from moving with the circuit network as well. And there's stuff with the circuit network that we could go on about as well. I've covered the important use cases here. Now that rocket fuel is going full tilt, how is that affecting our petroleum production? It's fine. Thanks to the wonders of coal liquefaction. Okay, right, I am definitely going to end the video now. I'll do some more episodes. I don't know whether I'll do them at quite such a regular basis, especially if my new PC is coming soon. I might, you know, move to doing another series. I'll see if my PC can cope with Dyson Sphere program, for example, while streaming, of course. But yes, genuinely, thank you so much. Let me know how it's going in the comments, if there's anything I didn't cover specifically, and I'll do a special episode just for that. Nuclear power is obviously on the list. The person, I can't remember your name, sorry, who asked for the red inserter build where you also make green circuits on site was the other stipulation with that. I will look into that. But yes, please, thank you. Please know that I am very appreciative. It's been a blast doing the series, I have to say. It's been very good fun, and I will continue to make more, especially if that's what you would like to see. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.